This video is intended to make it easier to learn how to operate some of the features on your new coach. Please refer to the owner's manual for complete instructions. Due to the many different floor plans and options, your coach may differ from the subjects depicted in this video. Congratulations on the purchase of your new Signature by Monaco. In order to protect your investment, it's important you follow these instructions carefully. I know you're eager to learn all about your new Signature, so let's get started. One thing to keep in mind, most systems within your coach will only operate with the battery cutoff switch turned on. If any feature like the lights or the air conditioning or the entertainment system fails to work properly, check the battery cutoff switch, make sure it's turned on. And before you leave your coach, don't forget to turn off all of your lights and appliances. You can use this switch as a safety measure in case you forget one in a closet or a bathroom so you don't run your batteries down. This entry door has an inflatable seal to keep wind noise out while traveling. It's activated when the transmission is in gear, so to open and close the door, the transmission needs to be in neutral. And allow a few seconds for the seal to deflate to avoid damage. The multiplex system is a computerized system that allows you to run multiple features from a single location and single features from multiple locations with the push of a button. The new innovative house switches are easier to read and offer more convenience, such as running all of your shades up or down with a push of one button. To operate the shades, push and hold the raise all, lower all, or individual shade buttons until they're at the position you want, then release the button. To operate lighting, push and release the button for the light or group of lights you want to operate. To adjust the dimmer function of the lights, simply hold the button in and release it when the light level is where you want it. The lights will cycle through 6 different levels as long as the button is pressed. The lights will stay at that level when turned on and off until reset. Slide switches, including the bedroom TV and generator, are momentary switches. Push and hold to activate. All others are push and release switches. The master off switch operates by pushing and holding about 5 seconds. All of the lights on the system will then turn off. The Vorad Smart Cruise is the best thing to happen to driving since cruise control. It's easy to use and it really eases the driver's workload. You don't have to constantly adjust or turn the cruise control on and off because the Vorad Smart Cruise keeps a perfect pace for you. The Vorad system works in unison with the cruise control. It turns on automatically when you start the coach. Simply use the cruise button the same way you normally would. For example, you set the cruise at 65 miles per hour. Upon approaching a car going 55, it will slow you down and use the jake brake if necessary to match the speed with the car in front of you. It will maintain a minimum following distance of 2 seconds behind the car. This distance can be increased by turning the knob on the right if you're more comfortable following at a longer distance. If the car in front of you speeds up, you speed up. If you get a clear lane and move out to pass, it will automatically return to the speed you'd previously set. When you start getting too close to the vehicle, warning lights will start to light up, and the coach will begin to slow down. The first light to come on will be yellow. Then if you continue to get closer, orange. Then if you get way too close, it will turn red. After you see the red light and you're still closing in on the vehicle, you'll hear a chime indicating that you're in imminent danger of a collision. Keep in mind, the Vorad will try to slow you down and set the pace for you, but if someone is doing an emergency stop in front of you, you'll have to apply braking. There may be times on very curvy roads where you might want to turn the system off because the Vorad system may be seeing vehicles in other lanes and begin to apply braking. Push the left knob to turn the system off. The system will automatically turn on again when you start the coach or by pushing the button. The green light will illuminate when the system is on. The Always Alert collision warning system also works extremely well. The proximity sensors in the VORAD system warn you of vehicles in your blind spots with lights and chimes. If you turn your turn signal on to switch lanes and there's a car in the way, you'll hear chimes and some warning lights will illuminate. It's kind of like having a co-pilot helping you keep a lookout for traffic. Before you move your slide room out, make sure you have enough clearance for the slide room, the awnings, and the bay doors. Always have your coach at full ride height when moving the slide room in or out. You'll need at least 110 pounds of air pressure to get the coach to full ride height. Move your seat all the way forward. Be sure the ignition key is in the off position and that the parking brake is applied. Press and hold the slide room switch in the out position. The slide room will now be moving. This switch is a momentary switch and will stop when released. When the room is fully extended, there will be a change in the sound of the motor. You can now level your coach. To level your coach, set the emergency brake and put the coach in neutral. Leave the engine running and push the air level button once to enter the air mode. The air indicator light and 4 airbag warning lights will glow steady. Press the air level button a second time. The air indicator light will begin flashing and air leveling will soon begin. It's essential there's no movement in the coach while leveling. When all 4 yellow sensing lights are out, leveling is complete. The engine may now be turned off. The processor monitors the coach's level condition and makes adjustments as needed to keep the coach level. This will continue until the system is turned off, either by pushing the travel button or by releasing the parking brake. Remember, your coach will level even faster if the engine is running, so don't forget to set the park brake. Push the air level button once. The air indicator light will glow steadily. Individually push the raise and lower arrows. Lights will indicate that air is being added or dumped from the suspension airbags as the coach is being leveled. These are momentary buttons whose functions will stop once they're released. The yellow level lights indicate if a side, end, or corner of the coach is low. To achieve leveling, simply lower the opposite side or end of the coach. If a level cannot be achieved by dumping air, then raise the coach according to the lighted yellow leveling lights. Always give preference to any side light before leveling front to rear. When level, turn the ignition switch off. When you're ready to travel again, you'll need to return the coach to travel ride height. To do this, start the engine. Let the air pressure build to at least 110 pounds of air pressure. Turn the air leveling system off and allow the coach to return to ride height. The coach will start to return to ride height when 110 pounds of air pressure builds in the air system. The green travel light will illuminate. You can now retract the slide room. After you have obtained full ride height, turn the engine off. Make sure there's nothing in the way and that the floor is clean because dirt and grit can damage the floor. Press and hold the switch in the in position. The slide room will move in. The motor will change tone when the slide room is fully retracted. Then release the switch. Remember, never move the coach when the slide room is extended. If you have the hydraulic leveling system, you still need to do things in the order we just went over in the slide out and air leveling section. Always have the coach at full ride height before moving the slide room in or out. To automatically level your motorhome, turn the power switch on the jack control panel to on and press the auto button and release. It's essential there's no movement in the motorhome during the leveling process. The top green light will start blinking. The leveling system is designed to automatically dump air from the airbags when the leveling process begins. After a half-second delay, the pump motor will come on and all jacks will extend downward. The system will attempt to complete leveling in one operation. The motorhome is level when all yellow lights as well as green lights go out. If leveling is unsuccessful on the first phase, the system will attempt to level 4 subsequent times at 7-second intervals. If both green lights start flashing alternately, the motorhome has reached maximum extension on one or more jacks. One or more yellow lights will blink, indicating that additional height is required under one of the jack pads. This can be obtained by moving the motorhome to another location or getting additional height by placing a 2x8 block under one of the jack pads. If you block under a jack pad, only one jack should be blocked at a time. If blocking a rear jack pad while the motorhome is on a slope, the opposite set of rear wheels must be chalked to prevent rolling. After your coach is level, you can turn the leveling system off and turn off the ignition key. When manually operating the leveling system, always lower the front jack first. The front jack acts as a pivot point for the chassis and reduces torsion stress from the body of the coach. Turn the power switch on the jack control panel to on. You can then push extend or retract as necessary to level your coach. When the yellow light goes out, that particular jack is in the level position. After your coach is level, you can turn the system off and turn off the ignition key. When you're ready to travel again, you can start the engine so the air system can pressurize. Turn on the leveling system and push the retract all button and release. The bottom green light will begin blinking and all jacks will retract. This operation is on a 4-minute timer, after which the green light will stop blinking and go out. Hydraulic pressure in all jacks is automatically released when the retract all switch is engaged. Jacks are retracted by the weight of the motorhome and retracting springs on each jack. Do a visual inspection of the jacks after retracting to make sure they all came up all of the way. Do not move the motorhome while the jacks are still in contact with the ground or are extended, as damage to the jacks can occur. Do not raise any wheels off the ground, which could result in damage to the motorhome. The Aladdin video system allows you to monitor virtually every system within your coach, from the backup monitor at the driver's console and the optional bedroom monitor. The Aladdin video system will automatically turn on when the ignition is on and will turn off when the ignition is turned off. To turn the Aladdin video system on when the ignition is off, push up on the toggle switch. Use the toggle switch to navigate through the different selections available. Here are some of the functions of the Aladdin. Select Video Source. This is used to select a camera or component to be viewed on the dash monitor or the televisions. The selection choices are determined by the coach's features and options. Engine Transmission Status. This is useful not only while traveling to monitor engine and transmission functions, but also to see how warm the Aquahot system is. It would be the same as the indicated engine and transmission temperature. Coach Electrical Status shows both 120-volt input and 12-volt battery power available and how much power is being discharged. Coach Tank Miscellaneous Status. This tells you the level of your fresh, gray, black, and liquid propane tanks. It also tells you the basement temperature as well as the outside temperature. The trip meter gives you a variety of information about trip legs, trip fuel statistics, and engine totals for hours, miles, and fuel consumed. The time alarm functions allows you to set alarms for most of the items we've just mentioned. For example, if you want to be reminded about scheduled maintenance, you can set the alarm to let you know when it's due. The idea is for the Aladdin system to monitor various parameters continuously so you don't have to. When an alarm comes on, the system is reset to the main menu and the alarm activation window is displayed. This will indicate the source of the alarm. To disarm the alarm, simply move the joystick controller in any direction. The Maintenance Scheduler gives you information about when you're due for various maintenance items. Modifying maintenance intervals and resetting miles to go should be done with the ignition on, so engine information is available for recording. Refer to the owner's manuals for preventative maintenance schedules. The Systems Options is where you set screen and text colors and calibrate the compass. The other items in Systems Options have been preset at the factory and should be left alone. The last item, Power Down, shuts the system off. The batteries are a crucial part of your electrical system. The health of these batteries will directly affect how well your coach performs. The Deep Cycle house batteries are designed to have the majority of their capacity discharged before being recharged. It's important they be recharged as soon as possible after being discharged. Your inverter will automatically recharge your house batteries, as well as your chassis batteries, as soon as you're plugged into shore power, or when you start the generator. The solar panels help greatly in bringing your batteries back to a high state of charge. Check the fluid levels in the batteries at least once a month or more if the batteries are being used heavily. The electrolyte level should be approximately 3/8 of an inch below the well level to allow for expansion when the battery is being charged. If you have an all-electric coach, you'll have Absorb Glass Mat or AGM batteries. These batteries are sealed and you need only to observe the voltage levels for proper battery care. In the all-electric coach, you'll have 1,000 amp hours of battery capacity. It would be wise to set the Auto Gen Start to come on at 60% state of charge or sooner to prolong the life of the batteries. If possible, it's important to have some source of power for the coach when it's being stored to keep the batteries charged. If you have a power source, leave the battery disconnect turned on and plug the coach in. This will keep the batteries charged. They should still be checked once a month. If the coach is going to be stored for more than 48 hours without a power source, it's recommended that the battery disconnect switch be turned off. But beware, when you disconnect the batteries, you'll lose the many memory settings within your coach. Remember, the batteries are the heart of your coach and they must be taken care of properly. If you're going to be dry camping, take care to run your generator often enough to maintain the batteries at a high state of charge for good use and long battery life. As we said before, the batteries are the heart of your coach and they must be taken care of properly. Now let's talk about the inverter, the brains behind the battery. The inverter does many different things, but we'll only cover the basics here. For a more in-depth explanation of what the inverter can do, refer to the inverter chapter in the special features section. The inverter is used to invert 12-volt power to 120-volt power. This allows you to operate appliances when the coach is either unhooked from shore power and/or the generator is not operating, like when you're driving. Here are some examples of how the inverter is used. Let's say you're camped with shore power. The shore power will automatically charge your batteries and maintain them at full charge. Turn the inverter on. The inverter will go into the standby mode, which will automatically switch on the inverter in the event you lose shore power or generator power. When power is reconnected, the inverter goes back into standby mode. That way you never lose power. When you're dry camping, that is, camping without shore power, you should turn the inverter off to conserve energy. If, however, you want to watch that big game and have some popcorn in the microwave, then the inverter needs to be on. When using the inverter, if your refrigerator is set to AC, you'll need to switch the refrigerator to propane to keep it cold because the inverter does not supply power to the refrigerator. If your refrigerator was set to auto, then it will automatically switch to propane. If you're not going to be using your coach for more than 2 days, such as long-term storage, turn off the inverter and plug into shore power. Remember, a coach is not like a car and has many functions that constantly drain battery power. If you leave your coach without power for more than 3 days, it may completely drain your batteries, even if nothing in the coach is being used. Here are some basic things you need to know about this unit. On the inverter panel, you'll find an on-off switch with corresponding status lights, a status screen, forward and backward menu buttons, and a setting button. The screen will always show the last setting change that was made. There are 3 menu modes to be viewed on the screen. Although they're not labeled as such, we refer to the 3 menu modes as the display mode, the programming mode, and the meter mode. The display mode has various menus for reading your battery state of charge and for changing some settings. The programming mode is for changing settings for your battery charging and generator usage functions. The meter mode includes displays that can be useful for evaluating the electrical system and is usually used only by trained technicians. To switch between display and programming menu modes, hold the arrow buttons down for 5 seconds. To view the meter mode, press only the up button for 5 seconds. To advance through the menus in any given mode, press the forward or backward buttons. When the inverter screen is in the display mode, you'll find several menu screens. One of the screen displays is System Status. This will show you when the inverter is either waiting for AC, that is, the inverter is off, or inverting, that is, when the inverter is on and the inverter is inverting power from 12 volts to 120 volts. You'll want the inverter on when dry camping or when traveling and need to use anything that requires 120 volt power. When you see bulk charging, absorb charging, or float charging, this means you're receiving shore power or the generator is running. The inverter may be placed in standby mode on this setting by pushing the on-off button. The green inverter light will indicate standby mode by slowly pulsating. When in this mode, if the power from either the shore or generator is discontinued, the inverter will automatically start inverting. It's a good idea to check the battery state of charge on a regular basis, especially when dry camping. This can be set to read as a percentage of state of charge or as a bar graph readout by pushing the settings button. This reflects the percentage of charge left in the batteries. It's okay to use the batteries to watch movies or use the microwave, just normal evening activities, but be sure to recharge the batteries the next day with either the generator or shore power or the popular option solar panels, the quiet, renewable resource. The nice thing about solar panels is that by the time you even think about recharging the batteries, they're already doing it. Set shore power. This lets you set the amount of power you want to receive from the shore power outlet. For example, if your shore power has only 15 amps available, you may want to set the shore power settings to 10 amps. This will ensure that the shore power circuit breaker will not pop if you accidentally try to use more than 15 amps. You can change these settings by pushing the settings button repeatedly until you scroll to the power setting you wish to use. Remember, the setting you leave on the screen will be the active setting until you change it. Gen Start Stop. This screen allows you to start and stop the generator from the inverter control panel. The on-off button you would normally use to turn the inverter on or off is now used as the on-off button for manually starting the generator. Generator Start. This can be set for manual start or auto start. Before you can use this feature, you must set the clock first. It's the last item in the menu. You can set the auto start feature to come on at various states of charge or voltage settings. When using this feature, make sure to set the parameters far enough apart so the generator will not cycle on and off too often. For example, you may want your generator to come on at 50% state of charge and turn off at 95% state of charge. That type of setting won't make the generator short cycle. To set the generator start time, push and hold the forward and back arrows for 5 seconds. This will put you in programming mode. Scroll down to set the clock. The number that's flashing will be the one that will change when you push the settings button. After you set the first number, wait a few seconds for the number flashing to change to the other side, then set that number. The generator start, stop, and quiet time settings will work the same way. Just remember you have to set the clock first before you can set the generator run times. Generator Stop. This allows you to program the generator to automatically shut off using the Auto Gen Start Stop feature. Again, scroll through the screens and find the setting that will work for you. Generally, you'll want it to shut off at 95% or at absorb or float charge. Begin Gen Quiet. This allows you to set certain times where you don't want the generator to start at all. For example, many campgrounds do not allow generators to operate after 9 p.m. or before 9 a.m. End Gen Quiet. This is where you set the time at which the generator can come back on. For initial generator startup, push and hold the generator on-off switch. The switch LED will be flashing while the generator is in the preheat cycle, 2 to 12 seconds depending on the outside ambient temperature. Listen for the generator to crank and run. The LED will go solid when the generator is in run mode. Coach power will transfer to the generator in approximately 40 seconds. Ensure that air conditioners and other heavy coach electrical loads are turned off prior to starting the generator. Shut down your main electrical loads prior to generator shutdown to allow the generator to cool. Generator fuel priming. If you run the main fuel tank below 1/4 of a tank, The generator fuel pickup tube will not be able to supply fuel to the generator. It's designed to quit supplying fuel to the generator at about a quarter of a tank, so you won't run out of fuel at your campsite while running your generator. Should you inject air into the fuel system, make sure you fill your tank to more than 1/4 full and then prime the generator by holding the start switch to the stop position. This will run the fuel pump only, bringing fresh fuel to the engine and forcing any air in the fuel system back into your main tank via the fuel return line. If you should need assistance with your generator while on the road, call 1-800-888-6626. You'll be given the phone and location of the nearest Cummins Power Generation Service Center. Before plugging the power cord into the shore hookup, make sure you have the shore power set to the proper setting on the Set Shore Power screen on your inverter, depending on the shore power available. Turn the shore power circuit breaker off, plug in, and then turn the circuit breaker back on. Connect to cable TV if available and plug in the phone jack. This provides a connection throughout your coach for your phone and computer, as well as your optional satellite system. When connecting the motorhome to fresh water, be sure to use a hose labeled for potable water to ensure the hose will not flavor your water. Connect the hose to the city freshwater hookup. The city water valve must be in the open position. Turn on the water supply. The water pump should be in the off position. Turn off the water supply when water starts to come out of the overflow. When you plan on staying hooked up to shore water supply, turn off the city water fill valve. This will pressurize your coach water system. It's not necessary to use the water pump when you're connected to city water. Make sure you bleed the air out of all the faucets. The purpose of the gravity fill is to be able to introduce fluids directly into the freshwater tank. This is very useful for people who dry camp who can pour bottled water directly into the gravity fill. Adding antifreeze or winterization and disinfecting the water system is made simpler with the gravity fill. The optional SaniCon system is designed to reduce solid waste to 1/8 inch, allowing the discharge line to be smaller and thicker walled. The black water tank drain is for discharging solid wastes. The gray tank drain is for all other liquid drainage. Check that the hose clamps are secured tightly. Remove the end cap of the SaniCon system and ensure the sewer hose is properly connected at both ends. You'll want to have the gray tank at least half full to rinse the drain hose. If needed, fill the gray water tank by running water in the shower or sinks. Use the monitor panel to observe tank fluid levels. When the gray tank is half full, stop filling it. Keep the black drain valve closed until you're ready to empty the tanks. When you are ready, open the valve at the discharge end of the SaniCon drain hose. Open the black drain valve and turn on the switch for the SaniCon. When that tank is empty, flush the black tank by connecting a non-potable hose to the flush system fitting and turning on the water supply. And turn on the black tank flush valve. Let it run for at least 3 minutes. Turn off the black tank flush valve and close the black tank dump valve. Open the gray tank dump valve. When that tank is empty, open the gray tank rinse valve and let it run for 3 minutes. Close the gray tank rinse valve, turn off the water supply and the SaniCon. If you're preparing to travel, close the gray tank dump valve and replace the end cap on the drain hose. The SaniCon system is equipped with a gray water bypass to accommodate continuous drainage of gray water when connected to a sewer system. Your coach is equipped with a power cord reel or a hose reel. Be sure to run the power cord or the hose through a rag as you retract it to maintain optimum performance. The two comfort controls are for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. One is here in the living room, the other is in the bedroom.